So I'm trying another new idea here. You see, there's great news every day, as you know, Monday through Friday, you get all the news you need. On Sunday, Lars Strandritter, he does a great job, fantastic job of giving you the news on Sunday afternoon that's been accumulated pretty much from the entire week. However, then from that until Monday afternoon, you've got nothing. And commonly, there's a lot of news going on Sunday and early Monday morning that might be useful to you. So one other show, that's it. I've got now the new one on Saturday because nobody was doing the news on Saturday. And I'm going to do this one early Monday morning. Typically, it will be earlier than this. If you like the idea, please hit like. Maybe you'll wait until you hear what the news is and whether you think this news show or this news episode is worthwhile having on Monday morning. All right, this is Randy Kirk. Again, like, subscribe, hit the notify, and all will be good unless you also like to hit Patreon and help to support the show. All right, let's start with the big news. I think it's the big news, but let's talk about it anyway. The big news might be that China has stopped production for 4 or 5 days. This pause is taking place when there's a real holiday, Labor Day in China, but the bears, or even the people who are trying to be neutral, are saying, well, gee whiz, in the past, Tesla's not taken this Labor Day holiday. And then other people are responding back and saying, but they've been paying double time holiday pay in the past, and margins are less. So it would not make a lot of sense to pay double time when times are a little bit shaky. So then Troy Teslike comes along and he says that indeed he thinks that they have done that, but that it's going to result in the normal production for the second quarter would have been 264,000 units, but that they only need 210,000. Okay, here's where I get really, really confused. If 264,000 is the potential for one quarter, that would put us way over 1 million for the year. Troy also says that he expects another pause in June in order to get down to this 210,000. But at 210,000, that'd be 840,000 from Shanghai. And if you add a really minimum number from Fremont, like 560, well, that would already get us all the way to 1.4 million. And that would mean we only need 200,000 each from Berlin and Austin to reach 1.8. Or 250,000 from each, 300,000 from each in order to get to 2 million. And I think it would be almost impossible to do only 300,000 from Berlin and Austin based on the current numbers and the expected continued ramp. So I'm very, very, very confused now by Troy's statement. And Troy, maybe you'll want to answer this, or maybe I'll send you a note. Is 264 per quarter really the Shanghai number now? In which case we're looking at closer to 1.1 million out of Shanghai with existing capacity. So help me out there. But anyway, as a result, we see the market is down this morning more than it should be. I mean, Tesla, NASDAQ is playing around with break even, up and down. The folks that I follow, if you follow me a lot, I call them the risky growth stocks, which I think that the street still treats Tesla like a risky growth stock. And that group, I call the Randy Index. Well, Tesla's a little bit off compared to them, so more than would be expected. So that could be because of this news. All right, number 2 piece of news, Dylan Loomis interviewed Lola Hughes. Now, she's a consultant from RoMolola. RoMotion.com is the website, RHO. Motion, MOTION.com. I'll put it in the information below. Now, and I'll also put the interview if you want to watch the whole thing. It was a very, very good interview. And they're a consulting company that works on energy storage and energy renewables. So, and apparently internationally with an emphasis on Europe and China. So the big takeaways, okay, I'm going to make sure that I get these right. Tesla might struggle to compete with CATL in China until they make their own batteries. Okay, I have been an OEM who sold to other OEMs. I have been an OEM who purchased from other OEMs. I've done that a lot in my life. So, an OEM is an original equipment manufacturer. So if you are making the product, you're the original one. In my case, I was making, for instance, bicycle water bottles was one thing I was making, and then I would sell them to another bottle manufacturer. I needed to sell them at a price if they were going to do any good at all. If they wanted a relationship and I wanted a relationship with them, I was going to have to sell it to them at a price that would allow them to sell it to my customers competitively. Otherwise, why would they buy bottles from me? So I'm saying that she may or may not be right about this. I don't think CATL is going to offer Tesla a price in China for the building of these systems. She calls them systems. I like that. The megapack systems. They're not going to sell Tesla batteries in China for their megapack systems at a price that would not allow them to compete with CATL in China. Number two, I think that there's so much TAM, and she agreed, by the way. We'll hit that as another interesting takeaway. There's so much TAM that it's really not going to be a matter, I don't think, of price wars. I don't think it's going to be a matter of somebody saving $1, saving $15 or $20 a kilowatt hour or something like that in order to buy these units. I think it's going to be about the thermal facilities. I think it's going to be about the software and how good it is at arbitrage and how good it is at managing, how good it is at coming up when there's needing a peaker event, et cetera. So those are my two questions I would love to ask her that Dylan didn't ask her, and I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think Tesla will be able to compete in China with other companies over there who make their own batteries. And of course, I think Tesla would make their own batteries over there as well. That's only a matter of time. Okay, so the other takeaways, CATL, the TAM, she did say, I'm sorry, that was the whole takeaway. The TAM is so huge. She went and talked about all of the applications in terms of utility, in terms of standalone, in terms of one that I wasn't really aware of, which is where you have a jam up. Okay, so you've got a lot of power coming into an area where you can't dispose of it quickly enough. So the utility, the grid has got all of this incoming, but it doesn't have any place to send it. So there could be standalone units in those situations, which would be able to store some of that overage and then use it later when it would be inexpensive to put it back into the grid. These are, and then she talked about factories, she talked about shopping centers, she talked about all the kinds of things we've been talking about. And she says, no, the TAM is massive, and that actually peaker plants is one of the ones down the line compared to, say, utility associated with solar. And I did want to have one other question for, she never mentioned wind once. I believe, and I didn't have a chance to look this up, maybe you can tell me in the comments below, I believe that they use lots of batteries in these wind installations as well. I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comments below. All right. She also said that many people have been saying that CATL was going to ramp sodium batteries this year in cars, possibly in storage. She says that is only a rumor and that does not appear to be true at this time. So that was kind of interesting. She basically says that the current methods of battery production that Tesla is using, those are the two biggies and will be, she thinks, for at least 3, 4, 5 years. Okay, so I'll put that information below. Okay, the other big news over the weekend, which would be a Corey Steuben interview, where he was interviewed on Brighter with Tesla with Herbert Ong, and he claimed that BEVs would only represent 50% of all car sales in 2030. Now, let that sink in. This is Corey Steuben. I think Corey is really smart on the engineering side. I think they're really good at tearing down cars. I will tell you that over time, and maybe this will mean I'll never get an interview with Corey, or maybe he'd like to come on my show and talk about this stuff. Over time, I have not been impressed with the overall understanding of the marketing side of the car business or marketing in general that I'm hearing. The other side of stuff that they talk about, the engineering and stuff, are you kidding? These guys are the best on the planet. But I don't think there's a chance in the world that we are only at 50% in 2030. The two biggest auto markets in the world right now, three biggest auto markets in the world: Europe, China, and the United States. China is over 30% already. So it's going to be close to 100%, I believe, by 2026, 2027. Europe is already over 20%. I also believe they will be at very close to 100% in 2027. The United States is a laggard, but will be going over 10% this year, maybe even as high as 13%. And you could see that S curve just go crazy. You've seen it already in places like the Netherlands and Denmark, and these countries are already looking at like 70, 80% BEVs. So it doesn't take long for these ramps to happen. I just did a video the other day. You can take a look at it, where I went company by company and talked about how each of these companies doing 1 million or 2 million or 3 million or 4 million by 2027. We could be 100% or virtually almost 100% by 2027, to where almost no ICE cars would be sold in manufactured or sold in 2028. Now, another one of Corey's comments was he thought it would be some of these, I guess you would call, I don't know if we still call them third world nations. So some of the smaller countries in Africa, South America, et cetera, some of the island nations that don't have the same kind of GNPs, the same amount of income per person, that commonly are not able to afford, cars that are like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And so all I can say is that BYD, which is the second largest maker right now, just introduced a car that will be at 11,000. I don't think that's the end of cars that are going to be offered, BEV cars that are going to be offered at 11,000. So if you've got an $11,000 car, you've got that other car in China right now that's 5,000, a very tiny car. You're going to have cars between 5,000 and 15,000 that are going to be absolutely at the same sticker as existing ICE cars. So I don't know what Corey was even thinking when he says that these countries that are only buying a couple 100,000 cars a year, I don't think that's going to stop us from getting to 100% by 2027. In fact, they might be some of the places that help us get there the fastest, with some of these really inexpensive cars coming out now. So those were very confusing to me. 50% by 2030. I just don't see how that could possibly be. Anyway, I'll put the interview down below because there was lots of great stuff in it. And I love Herbert. I'm on a show now on Wednesdays, or at least I was until I just knocked his show just now. Anyway, I'll be seeing you on his show on Wednesday. Let me know if this picking up some news items. Now, these are hopefully going to be news items that nobody else is going to touch. Nobody else is going to bring to you. You're not going to see them someplace else. That's why I'm doing them early Monday, because I don't think they'll be talked about later today or this week. But I thought they were very, very interesting and useful in terms of investors and people that just love to follow the entire Tesla saga. So if you liked it, please subscribe and notify. I've got a couple of amazing videos coming up later this week that you won't want to miss. So hit the notify button and then join Patreon. Be a really, really big help. And it's been great talking to you.